3, 2.
So even though the dictatorship, quote unquote, ended around 1990, Pinochet and many people who participated in the military government had a lot of impunity from prosecution. There was a lot of protection for them. So many of them were not brought to justice, or still haven't been brought to justice. Some have been now, but Pinochet himself, it wasn't until the late 90s that Pinochet, who was on a visit to England, because he and Margaret Thatcher had been very buddy-buddy, very supportive of each other. He always liked going to England. He went to England for some medical treatment, and a Spanish judge took advantage of Pinochet being there to request to extradite Pinochet to Spain for the deaths of Spanish citizens during the military dictatorship. And this was the first time Pinochet was ever arrested. And there was a big legal battle ensued, and eventually Pinochet managed to get back to Chile. The efforts to keep him in Europe to be tried didn't succeed, but this sort of got the ball rolling for Pinochet finally being was going to be brought to trial. He ended up dying before actually any judgment was ever passed, but that sort of sense of I'm untouchable was shaken up for Pinochet and a lot of his supporters of finally, at least there's an acknowledgement that you're going to be found, even if it's years and years later. And I have to say, me personally, when I saw in a newspaper, I was in San Francisco, and I saw this headline that Pinochet had been arrested. This was world-shaking to me, because I grew up with the feeling that people do terrible things and nothing happens to them, and the world is an unjust place. So just to see a headline that says Pinochet is arrested, it was like this incredible shift in my worldview of like, oh, finally, maybe there is a possibility of some justice in the world. And I have to say that really changed my outlook as a human being. Whether or not he ever got the justice, at least there was an acknowledgement that he needed to be brought to justice.
Yeah, and just let me add a little bit there, because and I agree with Andres saying that we're all so happy when he was detained, because we thought that it's going to be a really possibility of making justice or being brought to justice because of what he was responsible for in terms of the human rights violations in Chile in general. And the most kind of ironic thing is that he was never tried. Mm-hmm. Back in Chile, after he was detained in England for a couple of years, even more, being sent back to Chile, he never was tried because of human rights violation, but yes, he was intended to be tried by justice in Chile because for corruption, because he got money out of the country and in different banks, even banks here in the US, where they have millions and millions of dollars. And so he was investigated for that and being brought at least a couple of times to be questioned for that, but never punished, in other words, for what he did. But at least he was tried for being a corrupted person. And the point that when he was detained was good, that in the international world, everyone knew about Pinochet. And me as a Chilean here living in Chicago, everyone that will know, the first question was that, oh, so you know Pinochet, or something about Pinochet, because he was, the media covered, fortunately, very well when he was detained. But again, what Andrea was saying, unfortunately, with total impunity, not just for him, but for many other leaders or government leaders or prime ministers or dictators or presidents that have been violators of human rights in Latin America especially, they have never been tried. We have examples in Central America, Guatemala, mainly in Guatemala. We have in Argentina. They're doing something. And in Chile, we're doing something, but not enough, as we would like to have all those people brought to justice and being not punished, but responded for what they have done.